Today, we're going to be talking about this bad boy, the Rode NTG3. Yeah. You know how people say that you shouldn't let gear get in the way and that you should start with what you have and don't make excuses? I agree, and I agree fully. And then there's that thing that you have to hold into account, which is buy nice or buy twice. Well, this is an example of buy nice or buy twice. If I were starting a podcast today and I was also doing video interviews and voiceovers, and I could only have one microphone, that's a hint. The Rode NTG3 is superb at what it does. It sounds great. You know, it just does its job well. It's not crazy expensive, but it's far from cheap. I think it's you can get it around $600 or $700. I happen to have a shock mount, the Rode Rycote Lyre shock mount for it. I have it on a boom arm, but this bad boy, for my podcasts, for my videos, for my interviews of my family members and anyone else that I have on camera that's in a set location, can't be touched. It sounds great. It does its job well. And again, start with what you have. And you may want to take the route of starting with what you have and then working your way up. Again, I agree. The problem that I've had recently is the nightmare of selling things when I'm done with them. And I don't have the patience to go through the whole reselling process. eBay is flooded with scammers and people always trying to do something shady. I'm not going to mess with them. Then there's OfferUp and those platforms, which are kind of okay. But even recently, someone told me that a microphone that I just sold, oh, it doesn't work. And it arrived and it was triple wrapped in bubble tape. And I took a video, thank God, of me wrapping it up. I tested it first, wrapped it up, had audio quality and video and everything. So nobody can tell me that it doesn't work. But the reseller market is complex. It's complicated. If you're somebody like me that doesn't like to go through the headache of having to sell things, then buy nice or buy twice. And I do not regret buying this microphone. It serves well for voiceovers, like I said, interviews, my podcast, location recording, which is what it's primarily meant to do. But I even recorded some music with it recently, and it sounds great. You know, if I had to start today, there are a few things that I would get right now in order to just bypass the middle step and beginning stages of doing any sort of audio video production. I would get Rode NTG3, I'd get the Sound Devices MixPre 3, and I would get some version of Isotope RX and possibly even Hindenburg Journalist. That workflow for a podcast, it saves you time. You don't have to worry about the sound. You don't have to worry about, you can clean up noise easily. The automation of Hindenburg Journalist, the sound coming out the microphone, the preamp in the MixPre 3, and again, everything on that list is expensive. This is $700. The NTG3 is $700. And of course, there's all sorts of accessory gear, but let's say $700. The MixPre 3 with its perfect preamps and the limiters awesome. Not to mention all the other functions it does. That's what, another 800, 700? Yeah, I think it's 700. So that's 1,400 so far. If you went all out and got the RX-7 Advance, that's another grand. But I got standard, and I'm a student, so I got it the standard for $250, $300, something like that. And then you have Hindenburg Journalist, which is another software, the DAW, that automates levels, loudness, the LUFS, the vocal profiler, voice profiler, these things. That comes out the box at $350. But again, I'm a student, so I get it for something like $200. That would be my chain. I'm really interested in the Spire, the iZotope Spire, which looks amazing in terms of out the box, ready to go. You have a phone, you have the Spire. I'm not too sure about what it does with regards to effects and the vocal chain processing, comp, the compressor, the EQ, or anything like that. But right out the box, $300, I'd probably consider that. But what I have now, between the Rode NTG3, the MixPre 3, iZotope RX 7 standard, and then Hindenburg Journalist Pro, my podcast is going to be pretty hot stuff in the next couple episodes, now that I have a workflow and a vocal chain that is unstoppable. But yeah, buy nice or buy twice. You know, there's a value in it. You get something of quality. You save up. Start with what you have. Save up. Skip the middle step. And go to the reseller market once. And if you even skip in the middle step, you're not even going to the middle market. Let's assume you're recording on your cell phone. Cell phone and your AirPods or earbuds. Run it through some software. I also tend to use Auphonic from time to time. Free. So do that. And then when you're ready to bring on guests, when you're ready to really make it formal and get some sound treatment or acoustic treatment rather. Sound blankets are cheap. Not cheap, but moving blankets are cheap, and microphone stands are cheap. You get a couple microphone stands and drape them over a couple feet from the back wall. Carpet or area rug. Make yourself some acoustic panels. Build 2-3 clouds. I got these panels used, by the way. These are Prime Acoustic. This is a Prime Acoustic London something or other that was essentially 75% off used at B&H. One of the best purchases I've ever made. Again, the NTG3 being in that class as well. And the Sound Devices MixPre 3 being in that class as well. And soon to be Hindenburg Journalist being in that class as well. But definitely RX-7. That'd probably be the first thing I get if I went from phone to pro, you know, recording a podcast. I would hold off on everything else. Get RX-7. Record with your phone. Get RX-7. It's cheating. Actually, I'd probably take that back. I'll probably do the two $20 microphone stands, boom arms, with 3 or 4 moving blankets. That puts you at, see, 2 times 20 is 40. Moving blankets probably cost you another 8 each. It's 16, 32. $75, $80 will get you some acoustic treatment. You could even skip that too. Do it in your closet. If you're just doing an audio podcast, record in that closet. A walk-in closet. Give yourself plenty of forward-looking space. Record on your phone by RX-7. You probably won't even need to go much past that. But if you like to enjoy the gear and use it for other things, then, you know, you could consider it. But people, buy nice or buy twice, man. Start with what you have, then buy nice or buy twice. That's basically it. So I would encourage you to consider this bad boy because it is fine. And what can I say? It sounds great. It makes me sound great. Matter of fact, I'm actually running this through the DBX 286S, which if you're doing something live, I would recommend that as well. That's $200. And actually that runs into the 166 XL from DBX, but I got that used for $30. It's like nothing. But sounds great. If you're doing something live, go with this hardware setup. It has the noise gate and everything, which now that I have RX-7, I don't even really want to use the noise gate anymore because I have the spectral denoise that can take noise out regardless of if I'm speaking or not. Whereas the noise gate will only remove noise when you're not speaking. Right now I'm doing laundry. You probably hear the washer and the dryer going in the background every time I'm speaking, but when I stop, there's nothing there. It's all good, people. Make sure you spend your money wisely. I've made some bad purchases and I could really use that money back. But let me, as an example, turn off the DBX 286S. I'm going to leave on the compression on the 166XL. I don't use the compression on the DBX. I just use the noise gate and the preamp, essentially, as well as the high frequency detail. But let's turn that off. Let's turn the processing off and see how we sound. All right. And yeah, Sound Devices is getting the signal. I hope you hear what this is. I'm bypassing the signal. I don't like to do audio without compression. I don't like to, I want to put out this video fast, so I don't want to turn out the compression and turn off the compression. I just want to post this bad boy. But this is how it sounds without any processing other than compression. I think it's, even that is set to automatic on the 166XL. So it's probably a fast attack and a reasonable release with the output limiter set at a reasonable level and going straight into the Sound Devices MixPre 3, which I will talk about at another time because that's been a lot of fun. This is the workflow. I'm really pleased when you get a case of gear acquisition syndrome, which could last a couple weeks to years, and you spend too much time looking on B&H for stuff, then one day you catch yourself. It's really refreshing to know you did make some good decisions. And in this case, this workflow, this physical hardware and the software, done. I like Reaper as well. If I don't end up buying and taking advantage of the student discount for Hindenburg Journalist Pro, I'd go with Reaper, but it's so customizable. It's $60, $80, whatever it is. It's so customizable that I'm not really patient enough to put the time in to customize it to how I want it. Whereas Hindenburg is like, take this file, drop it in, it'll normalize. You add a compressor if you want it, and then you export. It says what's the loudness level that you want it. You export it with -14 because I export to Spotify and some other places that accept -14. And I haven't been rejected from iTunes or anywhere else. So I go with -14 and I'm doing mono. But it's automatic. The Rode NTG3 is automatic in its good sound. And I'm going to turn back on DBX, by the way. All right, here we go. No, my apologies. That was the 80 hertz high pass filter, which I use as well. Turn back on the processing. But yeah, what I was saying was Rode NTG3 sounds great, low noise. DBX 286S sounds great, great preamps, great compression. I save my time in post. I'm able to have the physical control just in case I want to do something live. It's awesome. And then I have the 166L XL, 166XL from DBX, which I like the compression on better, but you don't even need the 166. You know, the DBX 286S by itself is amazing. So I go from here, sounds great. DBX sounds great, gets it done out the gate, sends it to the sound devices. Laundry. And you didn't hear the beep when I wasn't speaking because the gate on the DBX 286S. Anyway, sound devices, the great preamp, low noise, clean files, 48. I'm recording it, I believe 96. Could be 48. I think it might be even 48, 24-bit. But I get it in the sound devices. It's easy to transfer the files. Sounds great, sounds great, sounds great. I pass it on to RX7, and it's funny because RX7, when I process it through the assistant, that checks to see if there's any clicks or clips or vocal noises or anything, it's like, we don't detect anything. And I think it's funny because it's used for audio repair, and what it's saying is the hardware that I have is doing such a great job that it's not detecting anything. I haven't had it detect anything yet, but me personally, I still like to run the either the denoise or the mouth noise and what have you. But anyway, nitpicking. RX7, and then I take that file and I push it into the Hindenburg Journalist, auto level. If it's just me, publish. Publish. I take it to Auphonic, so not because I need it to level or anything or denoise, but because Auphonic has it keeps the notes. For instance, the tags, the labels. It holds a template to publish, and then I just carry that to Libsyn and call it a day. Same thing for YouTube. I pretty much keep my template in YouTube, and once I take it out of in the case of videos, I don't go through Hindenburg Journalist. I go straight from sound devices, RX7, DaVinci Resolve, and I just go ahead and output it. And I just raise the dB a couple levels because I've analyzed it, and with all my settings the exact same, I consistently get, once I take my audio files from videos like this and I take them into Hindenburg, it's saying that it needs to raise the dB to get to minus 14 LUFS by 6 point something. So I just raise it by 5. YouTube wants minus 16 LUFS. So I just raise it by 5. And if they reduce the volume, they reduce the volume. But I max it out, and then I post it to YouTube, and then Stats for Nerds tells me, hey, we didn't have to apply any volume reduction or gain reduction, or we did. And that's that. I've never seen them actually reduce, so I can even possibly go louder on my videos. But I want to have my videos stay within the same volume range, so I'm not going to play with that too much. But anyway, this was supposed to be about the Rode NTG3. This bad boy is amazing. Save those ducats, man. Go with this all day. It sounds great. It sounds great. And again, the first thing I would get, just to recap real quick, and I'm going to finish this off coming up on 1932. The first thing I would get is the Isotope RX7. So I'm starting with my cell phone, earbuds, getting an Isotope RX7. If you're a student, it's a no-brainer. Go with the Elements or go with the standard. If you're a big baller, you go with the big boy, the Isotope RX7 Advanced, but it's not even necessary. Isotope RX7 would be the first thing I buy. Second thing I would get is probably the MixPre 3. Third thing, NTG3. Fourth, I'm looking at the DBX. If I'm not doing anything live, I just go straight to Hindenburg. Call it a day. Especially if you have a voice. I didn't even mention this. Hindenburg Journalist has a vocal profiler. And you can also get the same thing in Isotope Nectar 3 as well, I believe. But I'm not sure if it has it in RX7 Advanced, but Isotope does have a vocal profiler. But if you have Hindenburg Journalist, you can just basically go somewhere quiet, record your voice, have an engineer or a mixer or producer, somebody that knows what they're doing with audio, get your voice right to how you want it, whether it's for podcasts, for video, voiceover, lock it in. Get that recording. It has to be at least 30 seconds. It's a wrap. You take that recording, you put it into Hindenburg, and then Hindenburg will automatically know, this is the standard. This is the voice you want me to match. And it'll take any other recording, whether with any mic, and it will try to make it as close as possible. And most people, for listening purposes, will not be able to tell the difference. Of course, if you have a very well-trained ear, you will be able to, but it will EQ it automatically. So you don't need the DBX going into it. You just need somebody who knows what they're doing to spend an hour with you and get a good vocal profile for you. Lock that bad boy in. Hey, man. That's my recommendation. And I hope you guys consider it. If you're doing your podcast, you're doing these YouTube videos regularly, these talking head type bad boys, or voiceover or anything else, possibly the voiceover crowd would be a little bit more discerning in how they go about their audio, because I think they're earning money directly from their voice. Whereas YouTube, you're earning it from your subscriber base and your ability to market or allow marketers to sell on your channel and these things. So, but if you want good quality and you don't want to turn people off by it, by any bad quality that is, then I would highly recommend the NTG3 as well as the rest of the chain that I recommend. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. What are you using? What are your thoughts on the Rode NTG3? I see it all over the place as a budget MK 416 from Sennheiser. I like it. It's not meant for indoors, but you know what? That's nitpicking. It's nitpicking. You're supposed to use a hypercardioid or a supercardioid compact, pencil condenser. I say cool. I tried that actually. The AKG CK93 Blue Line. I wanted to buy it, and then for some reason they took it off the market temporarily for like a month. Because I'm a big AKG fan. They took it off the market for like a month, and I couldn't buy it. And so I was like, gosh, what am I going to get? And had to bite the bullet and spend $200-300 extra on getting the Rode NTG3, and I do not regret it. I'm sure I possibly would have loved the Blue Line, the AKG, just as well. I've had the AKG P120. I've had the AKG. I still have the AKG D5, 2 of them, and I want to get the AKG. Was it the 214s? I want to get a pair of those for my interview setups. But anyway, let me know what you think. Talk to you later.